if you can see that nice spider hanging down there. Looks like something to hang from a rearview mirror. It's a little chilly. So I'll let that guy sit there. He's not bothering me. So broad strokes. And I'll get into what I'm referring to here. Broad strokes is something, a picture that is painted of Grand Prix, in particular the LS4 with the transmission 4T65E HD. What I've been seeing lately, and this is only normal, comments on, especially one of my particular videos I had, why I love my car so much, excuse me, is these are trash. They're junk. They don't work. The whole car sucks. And what's happening, and I know exactly what's happening. What's happening is the Grand Prix, the GXPs, the Impala SS, the Buicks, Monties, quit making them in 2008. Well, I mean, technically they made the Buicks, I think the Impalas through 2009 with the LS4. And what's happening is since 2009, obviously, it's been almost 7 years. So a lot of these vehicles, the LS4, it's approaching well over 100,000 miles for a lot of them. They're no longer a newer car. A lot of them have over 100,000 miles. So more and more things are starting to go wrong, but not a lot. We're talking about the transmission here. And what I see a lot of is, I had this car for 6 months, it gave me nothing but problems. The transmission is junk. Okay, well, that's the fault of the GM engineers and their stupidity, really. And it may not even be the engineer's fault. It might have been some higher up saying, you know, how can we make this car cheap? How can we really make it so that we could just scrape by? And the problem is that the 4T65E HD, whatever the hell that was all about, that cop followed me for a second and then did a U-E. The 4T65E HD, whatever you call it, HD, was dropped in what started out as a 240 horsepower L64. Okay, then you add 60 horsepower to that, and what, 60, 70, 80 pound-feet of torque with the same transmission. What do you expect is going to happen? It's going to wear out faster. That's just the way that it is. And it was the transmission that's in this was already maxed out as it was with the supercharged V6. You put a V8 behind it with all this torque, you know, 323 pound-feet of torque, and you're going to run into some problems quicker. It's just the way that it is. And so when I see these comments about all their junk, it's like, yeah, you know what? General Motors did make a bad decision on leaving the 4T65E HD, made it to the LS4. What they should have done is done what they did with the North Star and put the 4T80E behind it. A little bit stronger of a transmission. Would probably hold up to the LS4 just fine. But they stuck it in the 275 horsepower North Star. So, you know, I wasn't there to design the car, the drivetrain or anything else like that, so I don't know. I don't know if they were just trying to cut corners. I really don't know. But the point is that it really kind of pisses me off that the entire car gets a bad rap just because of the transmission. And yes, just like any other car, you're going to have problems. One of the other known problems, especially with the LS4, you know, the lifters, they tend to get starved for oil on cold starts. The displacement on demand causes issues. And, you know, in my case, the balancer tends to split apart at about 100,000 or more miles. But those things, I mean, that comes with any vehicle that you have. You know, it's just, you run into a certain problem. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, I think people are a little bit too hard on it. If you're thinking about getting one of these, the LS4, just make sure you do your research and know what you're buying. I did my research before I got this car. I knew exactly what was going to happen. If you can get a warranty that'll cover the transmission and the motor, because really there's not much else that goes wrong with this car. There really isn't. Yeah, I've had wheel bearing sensor issues, and you're always going to have those cars that it just seems like it's an endless triad of problems. But that, you know, that's just the nature of the beast. Any car is going to be like that, where you have a problem that you can't fix or can't solve. You've had people look at it left and right. I mean, it's just the way that it is. So I keep getting told I need to get rid of this car now before I run into some serious problems. It's like, any vehicle you have is going to have problems. That's just the way that it is. And, you know, I've gone 150,000 miles now with this car. Never had a serious mechanical failure. Yeah, a new alternator, but what do you expect? The balancer was covered under warranty. I mean, that's just the way that it is. And so, if anybody out there is thinking about getting one of these, don't be discouraged by someone who makes a comment like, oh yeah, I had one of these and they suck. I've had 2 of these. My first car, other than an exhaust issue, had no problems whatsoever. This thing has given me a couple more issues, but they've all been fixed by my warranty. So, you know, I guess it's just the nature of the car. You might get lucky, never have a problem, or you might have problems from day one and every day follows. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say about that, I guess. I don't even know where I was going with it. So, alright guys, I'm heading home, so take care.